everyone, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome back to my channel. Honestly, I cannot imagine being in OP's shoes. The amount of stress that their family must have gone through is unimaginable. I do hope that you enjoy the story. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Now on to the story. I honestly don't know what to title this. We live in Indiana, by the way. So, my mother has a house. It's been in our family for almost 100 years. We never had a mortgage, and we never had a home equity or anything. Ever. Mom has been up to date on property taxes, and there are no sale tax. Nothing. I went down to the lake house to get some of my stuff while maintaining it year-round, for example, grass, weeds, etc. It's a summer lake house and we used it for storage. When I entered the house, it looked like someone had broken in, so I asked a neighbor. She said the bank took it, and so here we are. I called and filed a police report of all the stolen items that I'm assuming the people the bank hired took, and the police officer is to call my mom tomorrow after he figures out what he can. He informed my mom that there is a law where if you take care of a property for more than 30 days, you can lay claim to the property. However, my mom hired a guy to take care of the property and the bank vendors turned him away. My neighbor says that they entered with a key and I can still get in with mine. I'm the sole person with the key. My mom doesn't even have one. How is all of this possible? The officer told us to be sure that we aren't charged with trespassing to not come back. However, he let me get all of my stuff. My mom got no notice, no legal transfer, no nothing. How is any of this legal? Can someone please explain? Or what do we need to do? OP then also went on to ask. My mom talked of changing the locks on them and was wondering how good or bad of an idea that would be. They also have a padlock on the back door, but didn't change the front door locks, which I don't get. And then OP added to clarify. There's a sign-in sheet in the home that vendors are supposed to sign when they work on the home, with the name of the bank in the header. There's also a sticker on the front window with the number to a security company that is employed to secure homes for banks. The bank has winterized it and has already started replacing the roof and has done the gutters. Sorry for those of you wondering if this is just neighborhood gossip. OP then also added, wow, I really appreciate all of you. Those of you saying to move back into the house, now the house is livable, but there are repairs that need to be done and the house is 45 minutes away from town. If I didn't have kids, I'd be out there in a heartbeat, but my boyfriend and I were living out there up until February 2019 and had to move out because we were far from town. The electric bill was through the roof. Poor kids make that really hard because the house is not insulated to be a winter home, and it just reverted back to a summer home to swim, fish, and store stuff. Also, I asked my mom to run a credit check. She says that she already has credit monitoring set up and gets daily notifications. Nothing weird has been reported to her credit. No equities or the like. OP then added an update. The sergeant is coming to take my mom's statement today. We're waiting. They spoke on the phone for a good hour. He pulled up her deed while on the phone and said that he sees no case for a lien or foreclosure. He's stumped, but he's working on it. He's going to call the security company. Again, he cannot reach the bank or attorney until Tuesday. These are some comments in the original post. The officer had two things conflated, tenancy and adverse possession. I'll get adverse possession out of the way since I'm sure that's your larger concern. Someone can occupy a property openly, notoriously, continuously for a period of 10 years and be able to attempt to claim the title. Not 30 days. This is adverse possession and is in fact a thing. Someone occupying property for 30 days can argue a tenancy exists and is entitled to an unlawful detainer hearing before law enforcement can throw them out. But you don't say there's a person living there. I don't know why the police officers believe that you could be charged with trespassing, but I suspect that he's just exercising an abundance of caution, because when law enforcement intervene in a civil dispute to the extent that it becomes an unlawful eviction, for example, by removing a squatter, it's possible that law enforcement holds liability since it's outside their authority. Tenancies that can't be terminated by forcing someone out? Really, just the refusal of law enforcement to involve themselves in forcing someone else is what people keep calling squatters' rights, but they're wrong, because that term actually means adverse possession, but really, under the law, doesn't have a meaning at all. It's just a pet peeve of mine when people use it to mean due process under which someone cannot be evicted without a court saying so. Pardon this side rant, but it really gets confused quite a lot. Your mother needs a real estate attorney. I suspect that there was no bank involved here, but in the event that taxes were not paid, it is possible that a finance company purchased it at a tax sale, but this is so unlikely that I am loath to mention it as possible. I think the neighbor is repeating information told to them and are incorrect about a bank repossession because it's simply not possible. Somewhere, someone made either a grievous error or else acted maliciously, and either or both are difficult to undo. I suspect that the deed is still in your mother's name though. To which OP replied, I have the sign-in sheet with the bank's name on the paper. They have put out bids for people to fix the house up. The bank is a mortgage lender, which again, she had no mortgage. We are a very tight-knit community out there, so when she says people snooping around, being the president, she asked them what they were doing. They told her they were the bank and that they owned the house, and she physically watched them enter with the key. None of this makes any sense to me. How they got a key, how they claim the house is theirs, none of it makes sense. They even have a security company number on the house to call if someone notices anything is off. The company is Safeguard. They're employed to secure houses for banks. To which someone replied, if there has never been a mortgage, the next concern I would have is a relative or a close associate with the family falsifying an equity loan. This type of fraud is less rare than, say, banks accidentally foreclosing on a house they have nothing to do with, but it's not exactly common either. In any case, this is unquestionably a situation in which an attorney is needed. Assuming a bad actor or bank error, it's incredibly arduous to slog through the legal process just to get the documentation to figure out what happened and what steps to take. It's likely that it will work out, but it will take some time and will be frustrating and upsetting. Having an attorney deal with the process helps remove the anger and emotions from the equation in application and will make it much more easier on your family. We disallow users from asking for updates here, and I certainly won't ask you to go out of your way to keep us posted, but I will abuse my mod power for a moment to say that I would be very interested in hearing how things are going. Also, we will never second guess an involved attorney, so it's not a good idea to come and ask us if we agree with what her lawyer says or suggests. But you are always welcome to come back and let us know how things are progressing and ask any simple questions about the process you may have. Someone actually pinged me to look at your question, as I came across a fair amount of both adverse possession claims as well as unauthorized tenancy questions in my area. To be honest, taking everything at face value and recognizing that you're all just collecting facts as you can right now, I can think of about 6 or 8 quote-unquote likely things that could have happened. They can be plotted in a bell curve from a simple human error and oversight failure on one end, and an institutional process involving bad faith acts on the part of the lender at the other. The more likely scenario are someone with just enough access to your family to get financial and personal information, applying for, receiving, and defaulting on a HELOC or refinance could have led to foreclosure. A less institutional but also less a simple human error, but still a massive F-up within the mortgage lender due to hideous record keeping and or a party, usually acquainted with the owner and frequently related, utilizing identity theft to sell the property to a partner in crime, and then the fraudulent seller and partner share the money and default on the mortgage. I suspect the most likely scenario involves an associated party taking out financing on the house and changing the contact name and information for notice, so your mom never got them. Or something as simple as forwarding the mail to the home as you use for storage. But honestly, it's impossible for us to know. There are just so many possibilities. I will keep your family in my thoughts, though, as I absolutely do understand how anxiety and panic-provoking this is for you all. Your mom can go check on the deed herself on Tuesday at the recorder's office to see if and when the deed was altered, as well as it should have a history of financing. Her own credit record may reflect revolving lines of credit she doesn't recognize. She can check for any large jumps or drops in her credit score as well over the last few years, as those can give clues as to when and sometimes clues as to what happened. The good news is real estate transactions have to be done on paper, and there are significant rules as to what has to be written and how, and signed and dated and witnessed and notarized, so the information is out there. Best of luck, and don't be shy to come back with additional questions. I wish that we could give you more clear directions here and now, but have mom call a real estate attorney as soon as possible. The long weekend may delay it until Tuesday, but lawyers are still working and it shouldn't be too difficult to find someone. My mother got a hold of the bank today, who said that they had no record of the address in their system. However, they did have a completely different lake house in their system. They said that they had no financial interest in the house at all. They directed her to the real estate company in our county. He said that he hadn't had a house in the lake in many years. She then contacted the property preservation company that secured the house. The CRS got very frantic, asking for the burglary report case number, and again told her someone would call her. She also stated our address was not in their system. She hired a locksmith at the direction of her attorney and went out there and placed warnings and changed the locks. The locksmith informed us that they actually didn't have a key. As previously stated, I was the only one with a key, and they credit carded the door and replaced the lock in the back and just F it when it came to the front door. Neighbors took pictures of our license plate but didn't call the police, though I'm in fear something bigger is going on. But now it's just up to the DA to find someone to press charges against, and the civil court for emotional damages and loss of truly invaluable things that they stole while renovating. Thank you all again. The detectives finally solved the case. The property preservation company is claiming full responsibility. They had the wrong house. None of the houses they owned out there had a lot number on them in their system, so they just assumed and went with it. Yes, my mom is in contact with her attorney before she settles. There is so much more that goes into this than just the $30,000 worth of missing things. She asked if the DA is going to take the case. He said that they could, but he advised her to contact her attorney on Monday before making the decision. The Lake Association had their monthly meeting, at which time the president informed everyone that the no trespassing signs weren't real. So my take on the neighbors is that they're just a-holes. But the detective called and talked to her, so I'm sure that they are aware now. I'm just ready for it all to be over, and I appreciate the amount of notice that this has gotten here. My family is very impressed with all of you. So guys, what did you think about the story? Honestly, I'm glad that everything turned out for the best and that it was resolved. I hope that Opie's family gets justice during the settlement, although the incompetence of the company that was in charge of whatever happened here is mind-blowing. As I mentioned before, I can't imagine the stress that Opie's family went through. Anyhow, I do hope that you enjoyed this story. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more stories from Reddit with updates.